Today, we're going to break down an absolutely incredible Olympic comeback. It's a story all about resilience, leadership, and what it really takes to win when your back's against the wall. And you know, this quote from forward Brady Tkachuk, it just nails the whole vibe of this story. Because before they could even think about a comeback, before the celebration, came a moment of serious adversity that was going to test every single ounce of that trust.
Okay, so let's set the scene here. We've got the United States versus Denmark. And on paper, I mean, this looks like a total mismatch, a real David versus Goliath situation. But this is the Olympics, and anything can happen.
So picture this. The whole arena is just roaring, right? Chants of USA everywhere. But then, Denmark strikes first, silencing the crowd. And it was a bizarre one. A puck deflects off a US player right into their own net. Just like that, the underdogs are up. A bit of bad luck, sure. But things were about to get a whole lot worse.
Okay, so a weird bounce. That happens. Teams can usually shake that off, right? But the real stunner, the moment that made everyone watching just stare at their screens, came about 10 minutes into the game. 95 feet. Let that sink in for a second. That's the distance of the shot that left everyone speechless. It was fired from just inside the center red line, and somehow it got past the US goalie, Jeremy Swayman. I mean, that is the kind of goal you almost never see at this level. A huge mistake that suddenly put this American powerhouse in a really deep hole.
Now what's wild is that even after that goal, and then letting in another soft one right at the end of the period, it was Swayman himself who was praising the team's composure. For him, it wasn't about the mistakes, it was all about how they reacted. He said that confidence never ever left the room, and that belief was about to be put on full display.
So the big question is, right? How do you pull yourself out of a nosedive like that when all the pressure's on? Well, it didn't start with some spectacular play or a dramatic speech from the coach. Nope. It started with a quiet conversation on the bench.
This right here, this was everything. It wasn't the coaches yelling, there was no big timeout, it was just the team's top players, Jack Eichel and the Tkachuk brothers, sitting there on the bench, trailing, and basically deciding amongst themselves, all right, this is on us, we have to make a difference. No panic, just pure resolve.
All right, so they had the talk. Now let's see the walk. And trust me, they did not waste any time translating those words into action.
Just look at how fast this all went down. Midway through that second period, bam! Brady Tkachuk finds the back of the net, and we're all tied up. And then, less than a minute later, bam again! Jack Eichel scores to put the US in the lead. That conversation on the bench clearly wasn't just hot air.
This is exactly what leadership looks like when it matters most. 2 goals just 60 seconds apart from 2 of the 3 guys who had just decided to take control of the game. They didn't wait around hoping for something to happen. They went out and made it happen.
So once the leaders kicked that door open, man, the floodgates just burst. The rest of the team came pouring right through. And this is where you really saw the depth of this all-star roster. And the goals just kept on coming. You had a shot from defenseman Noah Hanifin that trickled over the line. Then Jake Guentzel absolutely wired a one-timer past the goalie. And to top it all off, Jack Hughes added one more, sealing the deal with a total offensive explosion.
But hey, you got to give credit where it's due. Denmark, as their player Philip Bruggesser said, they tried everything. They were absolute warriors, the fearless underdogs who gave a powerhouse team an incredible scare. But in the end, the sheer talent and the undeniable character of Team USA was just too much.
So there's your final score, 6-3. A result that, honestly, doesn't even come close to telling the whole dramatic story of what actually happened on the ice. But you know, a comeback like this is about so much more than just one game. This win had huge implications for their entire journey toward a gold medal.
So check out where things stand now. This victory keeps the US locked in a dead heat with their biggest rival, Canada. Both teams are still undefeated, both with 6 points. The race for that top seed is officially on.
So where do we go from here? Well, it all boils down to these last preliminary games. And it might not just be about who wins, it could actually come down to goal differential, which is basically just how many goals you score versus how many you let in. That means every single goal from here on out is absolutely massive for locking down that #1 spot for the knockout rounds. And that leaves us with this final question. You've got 2 North American powerhouses, both looking unbeatable, and they are on a collision course. With the high-stakes, do-or-die knockout round just around the corner, you have to wonder, who's gonna blink first, and who will emerge as #1?